and I'm Rad Nolan. Today, we're gonna have something really fun. Basically, we're gonna design an app from scratch. It's gonna be fun, but you know what's really cool is I personally do this just about every day. But my favorite thing to do is to design and build stuff in public. So that's what we're gonna do. You're gonna follow along with me. If you want, you can actually come join the file. Just don't mess anything up. Don't make it where I have to hide all the multiplayer cursors, okay? So come join the link. You're gonna be flying around. Everybody's gonna see you. You're gonna be like, hey, mom. And here we are. So, by the way, hey, mom. But let's get into it. We are here and we're gonna be designing a Pomodoro timer app. Now, I've got little things, stickies from FigJam over here. Basically, the general UX is I want to be able to select a task so I can track my time. I wanna be able to see upcoming tasks as well. And whenever I complete a task, I need to be able to complete it. So I want to see a timer that also is going to be able to let me know when a break is happening. I want to be able to pause the timer if needed, and I need to skip to be able to get to the break if I need a minute. So with all that said, let's go jump in. We've got a blank screen, blank canvas right here. What I'm going to start with is pressing O. I'm going to make a shape here. And obviously, it's going to be a circle. We're gonna invert that by grabbing these little circles here. I'm gonna slide it all the way around. We're gonna start it from the top. Move it over here. And yeah, okay. Let's just say it's right here. Now this is too thick, so I'm gonna make this here. So this is the back of the timer or the front of the timer. Now I'm gonna duplicate it, put it in the back of the timer, and now we've got a timer. So we can grab this, move this around, and what's really cool is you can also rotate this with or round the corners on this by grabbing over. So I'm just gonna move that to like 100 just in case we ever decide to go really thick with it later on. I don't know, we'll see. But one thing I'm already feeling is it's too thick. So let's just bring it back down to 80 here. And you can also manage those from this over here. So I'm gonna grab these. I'm gonna put it in a frame by pressing Command or Control Alt G. Move it over here, center it, and now we've got our timer. I'm gonna make this black for now because we're in wireframe stage still. So let's just go and size this up. It's a big timer. We also wanna know how long we have until our next break, right? So we need to put a time on here. So if you don't know about Pomodoro timers, basically every Pomodoro timer runs on 25-minute active times of focus, and then you get a 5-minute break. Now, it's been said that helps you be more productive when you get those breaks in between. Every time I run my Pomodoro timer, I always go over 25 minutes. That's just my secret for you all, but here we are. So I've got a timer and it's going. Because we're perfectionists here, we need to sync this up though. If it's 25 minutes and we are 39% into it, how long is that? That is 9.75 minutes into this. So what's 0.75 of 60? 45, okay. So 9:45. Done. Easy. We now have our timer and it's running. So now what we need to show next, I'm gonna really quickly just cross that off. And then I wanna be able to pause the timer if needed. I wanna be able to skip to the next break. But I think what we need to get into first is being able to track my tasks, having it connected to a task that I'm working on. So let's go drop this in. Let's say in the morning, I like to meditate. I'm sticking an enter right now, but it's gonna be good. I think we should bump this up even more. Maybe go up to 32 pixels. Let's just start wild. And down beneath it, we want to decide how long this task is meant to run for. So maybe we put it at 30 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the plugin Feather Icons. I'm a big fan of Feather Icons. It's simple and there's a good set already accessible. So I'm gonna look for time. Perfect, done. We'll bring this in. And right now I'm like not working in auto layout, but we need to be working in auto layout. Hey, it looks like somebody came into the file, so welcome. By the way, if you wanna join this, you can always jump in and come to this link. See a few people, looks like Danny's in here. Green Gems is in here, what's happening? Diego, how you doing? Everybody, what's up? Oh, Mesh Times is in here too, what's up? How you doing? Okay, let's go. I'm gonna put this at 8 pixel gap. And I'm gonna fade everything out. We're sticking into like mid-fi wires. Right now we're still low-fi, but I'm gonna start adding some shadows here in a second. So let's go. So meditate, well, I'd like to have an icon in here, right? So I think what we wanna do is just see if there is a meditate. Is there a meditate emoji? Chat, can you help me out here? I'm just gonna put thinking face for now. Perfect. All right, we're gonna put all these together. And you know what I'm gonna do really quick is I'm gonna bump this in at 16 pixels. This feels good, but there's like this, it's not centered, right? So I'm gonna put this, just this emoji into a frame. I'm gonna hold Command or Control and drag to the top. We could also choose to auto layout this by pressing Shift A and adding just a little bit of padding to the top and bottom. But I think that's what I'm actually going to do, because you should always be using auto layout, people, okay? So we've got meditate. We know that it's for 30 minutes. You know what would be awesome though, is if we kind of, let's say that this is part agenda as well. So let's say that this runs from 8:30 a.m. to another time. I'm gonna move this down, maybe put it at the 16. Here, let's see if this feels right. This feels pretty good. I think we can do like a 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. just so you know the exact times, especially since it's gonna be syncing up to that Pomodoro timer above. Let's anchor all that together with a very actionable time, okay? Does it need the dash? Chat, does it need the dash? I'm gonna bring this down to like 13 pixels because this is kind of like this most secondary information. Also, I think that this is too big. Let's move that to 16 pixels and I'm gonna go down to 4. Now, some people like their grids in increments of 8. I'm a 4 fan. Just don't go below 4, but 4 allows you to have a little bit more flexibility. In this case, you can see here, like this does not need to be 8 pixels out, right? It's getting a little bit too airy. We want things connected. We want the icon to be surely next to that 30 minutes. Hey, what's happening, Victor? Where you at? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Who that? We got a person in the file. By the way, if you want to come join me in the file, please don't mess it up for the rest of us by bothering me too much, okay? But I'll see you in a sec, anybody else. You know what I want to do also is, whoa, a bunch of people jumped in. Hi, everybody. Okay, one thing that I also like to do when I'm working in auto layout is cap the height to baseline when we're doing text. It makes it where a lot of all that stuff that I was dealing with over here with the mismatched spacing on this little emoji here, it makes it where we don't have to deal with that anymore. So, however, I'm eating my own words right now because that looks super jacked up. What's up, Andy? How you doing? Hey, Mom. Love it. Why is your mom watching a Figma video, by the way? Is she a designer? Okay, so we've got a nice auto layout here. We've got two spots. We've got meditate, we've got the time, we've got the length of time for that task. Now what we need to do is give it a little bit of a card feel because we want to be able to complete my task when I'm done, right? So because of that, we've got all this information kind of floating together. Now, when I go add a complete button, let's put that in an auto layout. Let's fill it with a black fill and press enter to select the text. We're gonna make that a white fill. I'm gonna add a little bit of padding to it just to get a nice vibe and bring this to something more like just a big old fat button. Love it. Okay, so we got this complete button. Well, now it's awkward, right? Do we put it beneath the meditate? All this. Now this also too, even when we put it beneath the meditate, it feels like this is floating a lot over there. So how do we fix that? Well, we start to box in our spacing a little bit. So I'm gonna do that really quick. I'm gonna put it at 16 pixels. Leading a meeting? Love it. Figma, noticing that there's a lot of people jumping into the file. This is weird, what's happening. Since we're keeping this in mid-fi right now, we'll keep it into a gray style. I'm gonna give it a little bit border radius. Now this meditate looks massive, so we're gonna bring this down to 24 pixels. And you know, this is how I like to design, is kind of just test, iterate, and move around. As I'm feeling stuff, we need to be changing stuff, right? So feeling good. Geez, I keep trying to fix this and it's not getting fixed. So I'm gonna move this, done. Okay, we're not gonna touch that again. I'm sure we're gonna touch it again. Okay, so we've got a card now, and now this button doesn't look so haphazardly disconnected from everything else. You know what though? Oh, yep, I didn't put this cap to base height, or what is it? Trim, cap height to baseline. If anybody in the chat knew that, you're lying. So, okay, cool. So that made it where basically there was a little bit of extra padding down here because we still had the text not capped to just the text. So now everything's working. It's nice and vibey. By the way, anybody joined in the file? We've already got, looks like 9 people in here, but anybody else wants to come in, they can go to this link, bit.ly/live from Figma, Rad Nolan. Okay, not live from Figma, live dash Figma. Okay, cool. So we've got, let's see, let's go through our list here. I want to be able to pause. I want to be able to skip. We haven't touched those yet, but you know what? We have been able to complete a task. We also need to be able to see our upcoming task. Shoot. Okay. So let's go fix that first. Well, okay. Let's say we put all these 3 in an auto layout. And we put this up here and we've got to put an extra box in that, or we've got to like descale this a lot to lower the visual weight that's going towards it. So I'm not going to touch upcoming for now. Let's just make it easier for ourselves, okay? Okay. But I will say, I'm going to put this in another auto layout. I'm going to bump this to the left, and I'm going to scale this out to 375, which is the phone height that I'm designing towards right now. And I'm going to start putting it into like a little sheet because I'm a big time sheet guy. Are you all sheet people? I'm a sheep person, not a sheep. There you go. Sorry. Sometimes I just have to say stuff while I'm doing detailed things so that my brain can function. Okay. We're at vibes now. We've got some vibes going. We've got a complete button. We've got a sheet. We definitely need to bump this up. By the way, constraints fix right here for you all. If you press this up or align down, it's going to automatically move the constraints. And that's important because now that I add padding, it's moving it up rather than going down beneath the screen. That's the biggest part that you need to get your head around with constraints if you haven't already. And it's definitely something that you want to think about. And I'm really glad that Figma has brought back constraints into a grid that you don't have to go press a button for anymore. So that's super nice. Thank you, Figma. Okay, my mouse is really big to show you all what I'm clicking, and it's biting me right now. What's up, AJM? Thank you. Reconstraints. Yeah. Sats in the file. Gons is in the file. We got a bunch of people. Okay, so now we've got this little thing, this little handle right here. And the reason why I'm putting that handle is because later on, we're going to drag this up and show the rest of the tasks. So we've basically taken a problem, we've kicked it down the road, and we're going to make that better in a minute, okay? Now we've got to work on pause and skip and all that. So I'm just going to put a pause and a skip. Cool. Skip should be secondary. So we're going to make that a ghost button. Put these into an auto layout beneath that. And there we go. Yeah, it's looking really great. You know what, though? We need to bring some vibes. So I'm going to duplicate this out. I like to duplicate stuff whenever I'm about to make a major visual shift, just so that we have the original version, right? Red's cool. But let's say that we're like happy, right? We're making it green, okay? This can now be white again. I'm gonna go ahead and just because we're vibe designing right now, we're gonna just use beautiful shadows, which stacks basically like 10 shadows on top of each other, and it makes a really beautiful shadow. Hence the name Beautiful Shadow plugin. So this is one of my favorite plugins, because look at this. Yeah, dope. Okay. Cool. So it's good. I think that we go with like a F5, like a little bit of a gray vibe to it. Put a little stroke of CD on this. Maybe E7 on the stroke. Sorry. These are just like hex codes that I've used so many times. And we're going. It's kind of leaning brutalist, but I wasn't meaning to lean brutalist, but I'm a big time brutalist designer. Like that's like my only vibe. So I'm gonna try to make a different vibe. But before we go do that, I'm gonna go ahead and make it vibier by opening up the blobs plugin. This plugin is super fun. Basically, when you run that, it's gonna make a funky blob. And this is important because we're gonna go and make all it. Hey, D. Espinoza, don't be messing with it. What are you doing? Get out of here. Okay, basically the reason why I'm doing this is I'm gonna blur this to like 500 pixels of blur. But before we do that, we need to go pick some random colors. Okay, and this will move up and we'll make this like a purple. Okay, cool. So trust the process, everybody. Are you trusting the processing? I'm trusting the process. Wait, I don't need to open this. I need to open effects. We're gonna open up a layer blur. And again, I said we're moving this to like 500, okay? And look at that. That looks banging. Okay, maybe go yellow. Let's see. Yes. With the green background, it's not vibing though. It's like really clashing. We can go white. That looks cool. That does look cool. But what if we go dark mode? If we're gonna go dark mode, we need to like lower the opacity of the whole shape, all these blurs back here. We also need to obviously go light mode with this. Yeah, yo, this looks really rad. There's also a new kind of like design trend that I've noticed where sheets aren't full sheets anymore. They kind of have these like a little box set down here. So let's just lean into it. And now one thing when you're coloring dark mode is it's basically layers of color. So we're gonna put it at white. We're gonna go down to like 8% opacity. And then we're gonna go white again on the border. We're gonna go like 20% opacity. And since it's sitting outside, it's not what we want. We want it inside because that's gonna brighten that border just a little bit more. And this is kind of the beginning stages of our layering coloring system in our dark mode stuff. Now the difficulty is we're still adding a shadow to it, and so it's like really messing this all up. So what we want to do is maybe we just drop these shadows altogether. But I'm gonna go ahead and do a background blur just to make it even more blurry back here, so it's easier to read. And then we're gonna scale out this blob here, so it's not just a random yellow. You know what? I think it's more just that we need to change the blob structure around. How's everybody doing in chat? I am watching, but I'm also like very detailed right now, so it's hard to hang out with y'all too much. But yeah, this is looking pretty good. You know what though? You know what I kind of want to do? I'm trying to decide. I'm not gonna have the time to do it, so never mind. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it. So I'm gonna lower this blur because it's too much. So it's making it way too yellow and mustardy. I don't think we need that, but we do need a little bit more blur than the blur that was already happening. That way it looks a bit more glassy. Again, I'm gonna add those layering colors to this, and instead of, I've got this gap here, so I'm just gonna double click over here, and now it's basically set it to justify the contents inside. So I can still add padding and change things around, but it's gonna make it where basically the gap sinks to the edges. So we can always have that when we're wanting to get into that. So, okay, we're moving. I wanna add a shadow to this though. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop open Beautiful Shadows again. Add like 20 layers of shadow. Because I think that I'm not going to layer the coloring anymore. I'm gonna actually pick a really light. That green was like looking so nice earlier. Maybe this yellow though. Yeah, this is feeling good. So what I'm also gonna do is I'm going to add a stroke to this. And I think I'm gonna go a little bit more like retro vibe to this. So I'm gonna put it at like a little bit of a glow on the top. So it kind of feels like it's coming out of the page a bit more. And then I'm going to, actually, you know what? Instead of putting it at 0 on the F100 F0, we'll go 100, or sorry, 0, which makes it black. And that's gonna make this like little dark, like metallic glow to it. Well, no. We're gonna do that later. I don't wanna do that right now. We're gonna make the buttons like that. Let's make the buttons metallic, okay? So we're gonna put a fill on this. We're gonna change the fill from just a solid black to a silvery color. Maybe we go pick from up here, kind of like in this like purple reddish. Make it like a bright. I'm gonna copy this hex code, put it over here, make it like a darker. I think it needs to be a little bit more gray though. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then we're gonna put a stroke on this. Now, are you guys trusting me? Are you trusting the process? I hope you are, because we're about to get there. I promise it's gonna look dope. Okay. So what we're gonna do is make it a little bit brighter. And then I want to add an extra point in the middle of this at 50%. No, sorry. At 50% on the line, 100% there. And this one is going to be the dark. Yeah. Okay. This has got to be a bit darker though. Looking great. And then we need to add a drop shadow to this. I can't add a spread, and that's because I need to clip the contents first. Now, basically what I'm doing with the spread is I'm trying to make it like where it's going to make a fake stroke for me. So that way it looks like this. So it kind of feels like sunken in kind of thing. I'm putting that at a 10% opacity for the dark. And I think that the spread is too much. It's at 2, maybe we put it at 1. And now it's looking cool. The one thing that we need to do now though, is we need to make, we need to give a little bit of inner shadow to this. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. Maybe we'll make this dark. You know what I think too that's throwing me is like, we need this to be a little bit more softer. Okay. Things are happening. We got this, guys. We need an extra stop in here. And this stop needs to be a little bit darker. Cool. I think too, I want this to be a little bit darker still. Yeah, that way we get a little bit of a break on this complete button. And this inner shadow needs to be much harsher, if that makes sense. Because yeah, there you go. Now it's feeling sunken in. We're going okay. We're going okay. We got to bump this to 24. Just give it a little bit of bump at the bottom. And now it's definitely not all the way there, but it's feeling pretty good. I think that what I want to do now is tone this stuff down a little bit. Maybe bring this down to 16 pixels. That's going to allow us to have a bit more room on here. And now these are the matching texts, so that's cool. And yeah, okay. This is still feeling a little bit too bright. Yo, there we go. So this is what I like to do is kind of, as I go, just sort of like go back. Sometimes when things aren't feeling all the way right, I'm trying to like go back and tighten up a different style, play with a new vibe, and then come back. Yo, Nolan, carry on. I haven't met many Nolans in my life, but welcome. So glad to see another Nolan in the file. And yeah, this is looking pretty good. The big thing is this yellow is sticking out like a sore thumb still. So what I think I want to do is bring this to a gradient as well. Maybe put this, not at 0, but like, again, we're trying to go for that metallic vibe. And then maybe we actually bring this whole thing down. And it's coming together. It's coming together, y'all. Yeah, that's feeling a lot nicer. We definitely need to tone this down. I think we should fill this out to a black 100 just to really hit it. Hey, I'm not going to go follow you. I'm the one you're following, okay? Do I need to kick you out of this file? No, I don't think I can do that. Okay. We're looking really great here. And yeah, now the last thing that I want to do, I'm still not vibing with this purple, but we're running low on time. So what we need to do is we need to make a state where we pull this thing up, right? So I'm going to go quickly do that. We're going to slide this up. We're going to move this to the top. We're going to wrap this all in another box. We're going to put this a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter. Maybe 8 pixels and 8 pixels. Sink it in. We're going to put it at a 0 at like 8% opacity. Bump this up on the rotation, on the rounding. Sorry, not rotation. And then, yeah, feeling good. We just need to put a little bit of like an inner shadow on this. Yeah. Okay. Feeling good. Bring this down. Bring this down. We don't want it to overdo it. You know what I mean? Inner shadow is one of those things that's like, it's making a comeback, but it's still really hard to do in a good way. And you got to combo it with a drop shadow of a white drop shadow. at like 1-1. You see, because now it's coming in. Now it's coming in. And we're looking good. Okay, so basically the reason why we need this is we need to be able to pull up this this whole thing. Oh shoot, I was bumping up the padding too much. Ah. Okay, that's feeling good. Now we want to show the other items in this list, right? So let's go make a next up state. I don't think I'm gonna have the time to think about cutesy names for our other tasks, but I think we'll get the picture. And I think that I'm gonna make all of this left auto layout. This feels good. Whoop. Drop the justified contents. It's feeling okay. I think that we need to make this a solid fill. Drop the opacity there. Okay. So this is the pulled up state. So we just need to basically copy this, bring it back over here, replace this. I'm gonna slide all this down. Gonna clip both contents so that we can't see the other stuff. I'm going to make this 0% opacity. We'll drop the padding on all of these. And I'm gonna increase the padding on that. There we go, okay. Shift E to grab over to prototype land. And I'm gonna just make this whole thing a drag interaction. Shift space. Let's see how it's coming together, y'all. We're loading, we're loading. Come on, baby. Oh, what happened? It's named different things. Frame 10, frame 10. Okay, here we go. Whee! That looks pretty, y'all. We just did that. We just did that. That was fun. I hope you all had fun. We had 30 people in the file right now. If we all just want to give a good little wiggle back and forth to each other, woo, press the little Figma chat and say thank you so much for being here. This is a crowning moment of my Figma journey. Goodbye. See ya. Peace, y'all. That was fun. It's been live from Figma. But yeah, there we go. We got it. Thanks for hanging, guys.